This bag that I have that I use, and I mainly only take this on studio shoots, is this big bag right here. Now I'll take this with me on weddings. The reason why I like it is for a couple of reasons. It has all these little pockets on the sides that I can put a bunch of stuff in, batteries, SD cards. The one thing I didn't know when I first bought this bag is that you have to buy this inner liner, this little thing. You have to buy it. Like, I thought that was already attached in there. So it's one of those things that you have to get. But I really do like it. My only thing that ever happened was one of the zippers on the side. There's another little pocket right in here, right straight ahead. The zipper popped off and broke. I lost it, obviously. But for the most part, I really enjoy using it. It's got plenty of space in here. I use it quite a bit. I need to buy another packet down here, but for the most part, I use it. My 7200 in here, or 50 to 140 in here, and then I got my two cameras. They both slide in here. Now I keep my batteries down here at the bottom, but usually they go right here. But I like it. It's a good bag. It's really big. Not comfortable to carry whatsoever, but if you're going to put it for a wedding or for a studio shoot down somewhere, this bag is definitely worth the size, and you can fit quite a bit in it. I have two straps. One's a really thin one, but they're basically the same. It's Peak Design, has the Peak Design setup right here. I got the gray. I really wanted the blue one. I think they have a blue and green one now, but I really like this. Now, what I love is there's a little bit of padding here, really good, but when you have it on your shoulder, there's this little sticky part right here that I really like putting on when I have one camera set up, and it stays. It does not move around. When I'm moving, and I'm moving fast, it's on there. I can just kind of drop my camera for a second, and it stays. But this is a really great camera strap by Peak Design. This is one of the ones I'm like, you know what, I'm going to get the thicker one. I'm not going to do the thin one because the thin one tears into my skin. But overall, these are really, really great camera straps if you like Peak Design setup. Okay, so this is a handmade strap with the Peak Design little clips on it. I made this for myself. I'm sorry. I bought this through a gentleman I met online. He's out of Canada, but it's a great one. I'm gonna get it ready, get a second one pretty soon. But this saved my life, and I'll tell that story down the road. But it actually saved me from getting killed, so it was pretty interesting. I don't go anywhere without this strap, and I have a little montage eventually that I'm going to do where I show it at every single wedding that I've done and a couple of events. But I love this. The only complaint that I would have is if you're going to measure this out, add an extra inch or so, because he'll take it a little bit off these pieces, and it's worth getting an extra inch on each side, especially when you need to have dual cameras or something. But it's a great strap. I love it. It is well built, handmade, beautiful. All right, the last two things that I have the most in my camera bag all the time are this fiber cloth, because your lenses, you smudge them. If you don't have a ND filter on there or anything like that, or UV filter, you're going to touch the lens from time to time, or somebody does. And this little rocket thing, this blower, really goes well, especially in a pinch if you need to get rid of the dust spots. This is an amazing little tool, real quick, real fast. I don't recommend touching your sensor, but if anything ever pops in there, you can use this in a pinch. I really do like it. It's a great little tool. I think this whole little kit right here with some little swabs was like $30, and it saved quite a bit. But these microfiber cloths really work in handy if you ever have a smudge on your lens. Now, this is not professional cleaning, obviously, but I'd say this is a really good starter kit if you have to use something to clean your lens and your sensor. So something else that's in my camera bag is the Sony A7III. I used to have a Sony A7IV, but a buddy of mine really needed a camera. I didn't really use it that much. I mainly used it for video, but I like the Sony A7III. Marcus Picks kind of said it, and it bothered me for a little bit, but it really didn't bother me that much, was the toggle switch at the top. it was video and steals, because I just want to push the button like he said. I kind of got used to it over time, but I still kind of go back to it because I just like putting the memory 1 and 2 in my video, and then I have my manual shooting above it. But the Sony A7 III is a good workhorse. There were problems with a few of them that the shutter would break, and so far mine's held up. I don't really have any problems with that, but I do enjoy using this camera. I like the grip. I like the way it feels. I don't really have a problem with it overall. I talked about the lens that's on there. This lens is always on there all the time. Very rarely do I ever take it off, especially at weddings. But overall, this is a great camera. I really enjoy using it all the time. Okay, my next set is for my Sony kit. So I have these 4 lenses that I use consistently depending on what it is. But this 85 1.8 is definitely worth the money. Now, one thing I'll tell you about, if you're a photographer and you're starting out, this right here, you'll always lose these lens caps. I'm just letting you know. But this is how tall it is overall. I do love this lens overall. This is an amazing lens. This lens is not great for video, just letting you know, but that is some beautiful glass that's above it. This lens definitely is worth the money. If you see this little dent right here, that's a story in itself. But this is a secondhand lens, and I paid like $200-$300 for it. But it is amazing. It's beautiful. And I'll talk about the 1.4 or 1.2 versus the 1.8 or 1.4. I can't remember. I'll look it up. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. But what I love about this lens is it's common thread 67 and filter thread, which is just what everybody uses. But this one is an amazing lens. Okay, the next lens that's in the kit is a 20mm. Now, not a lot of... It's 2.8, and I kind of wish I bought the Sony 1.8, but when I shoot with this lens, I can't even, to be honest with you, I rarely ever go down to 2.8 when I'm shooting with it. I'm usually at f4. But if I need an establishing shot at weddings, most times I use this one. This is the kind of hood on there. I'll talk about like the hoods in general as like a topic, but I do like this lens. It's really nice. The program that I use for On1 doesn't read this as a 20mm. I have to do it as a 24 and then bring it back a little bit. But other than that, all the other programs I ever ran do a really good job of reading it as a 20mm. So, but I wish I had bought the Sony, but this one's pretty nice overall. It's really good, a good lens. Okay, the last lens that I kind of shoot with mainly, this one just stays on the body like 90% of the time, is this 28-70 Sigma. Now, do I wish I had the 24? Yes, but for the money, this works because I have the 20mm and I have the 16mm for the Fuji. So if I ever get in a tight spot, I can swap out real quick. But I do like it. This is great. One thing I do love about this lens mainly is this little autofocus switch right here, manual focus. Sometimes I get in a spot and it just won't pick it up and it click, and then I can manually focus it overall. So if you saw my last video, I still have an Xt4. I don't have it on this video because I'm videotaping with the Xt4 and the Sony A7III. But the Xt4 is my new camera that I'm using. I got rid of the Xt1. Somebody, if you listen to the story, my Xt3 got destroyed. I needed a backup camera for weddings that were coming up, and somebody saw it. I talked to, I guess it was on a forum somewhere, and this guy reached out to me. He was like, hey, I have an Xt4. I don't use it. I'd really like to use an X-H1. And so me and him started talking, went back and I used it, liked it, did a couple photo shoots on it. Everybody complains about the little flippy screen, but I'm going to show you I don't understand people really, to be honest with you. I mean, it gets in the way a little bit when you're doing video. I did come up with a couple of things trying to do video with them, but there's workarounds all the time for every camera. There's not going to be a perfect camera out there. I think the Sony A7R Xt4 is probably the best camera with the articulating screen, because you have it flip out and then you can fold it out. I think that's the best, but overall, I don't think you're ever gonna get like the perfect camera. But the Xt4 works for me. It does everything I want to do. But I like the features on it, and it still has the dials how I want it. So overall, I really do love using it. And then it has the flip switch that I was talking about with the Sony A7 IV for video and photo. And so this will probably be my video camera. Xt3 will be my photo. And the A7 III will be the hybrid. But I do like using it. So for my Xt3, I have this battery grip. I use it quite a bit. The batteries on the Xt3 are awful, so this really comes in handy from time to time. And so it has a lot of features on it that I always forget to use, but the joysticks back here, the AFL, AEL, AFL, and then the trigger right here. This trigger, I really love using it. It's really nice in the hand when you flip it over. But the Xt3 is definitely my photo camera that I use. But this is the battery grip for it. So this is the kit lens. It's a really good kit lens. The only thing is it's a variable aperture. But I like the 18 to 55 field of view. I rarely ever do 35, but I usually run it at 18 or 55 most times. But this comes with me all the time for video and for photography. But I don't really like using it for photos. I use it mainly for video. It doesn't have really good close focusing. And so the lens that I'm using right now is a 16mm 1.4. And that one has really, like, I can come really, really close. And I really love it. So it's a really great lens overall. You know, they call it a kit lens, but I think this is one of the better lenses of anything anybody's ever made. Okay, Fuji made a really good 35mm. Like I said, this is, and I don't know why people do this. The equivalent to full frame is 50, but this is 35mm. And it really great lens. Whenever somebody asks me to second shoot, I'm always like, oh, I have 50mm, you know, because that's the equivalent that it'll be. But everybody's always afraid to hire a second shooter that has Fuji. But for the most part, I shoot with this one if it comes to different focal lengths that I need. And because I have two cameras, I can just drop the 18 to 55 and use this 35 while I have the reach from the other one. So I really do like this lens overall, but I'm not really a 50mm 35 type of person unless it's a specific focal length that I need, or a specific place that I need to have it at. So the last couple of things that are in my bags are these batteries. I don't have the Sony battery, but Fuji, I have like 6 batteries because the Fuji Xt3 chews up batteries pretty fast. With the battery grip, I can usually make it through half a wedding. With the new battery from the Xt4, I have 2 of them. And then the Sony, I have 3 batteries. 2 of them are kind of cheap. They're emergency batteries. I don't use them that much, but I have one main battery for the Sony, and it gets me, I'd say, through an 8-hour wedding by itself. Probably have to switch out to one of the cheaper batteries to last like an hour or so, but for the most part, that's where it's at. So this is a long video. I appreciate your time. You have a good day, good night, and I'll see you on the other side.